All right, so let's focus on our economy here in Ghana. Economist and business strategist Dr. Jerry Monfort-Comfort has criticized the central bank on the mode in which the cleanup of the banking sector was implemented. Now, he is concerned Ghana's economy could face a systematic crisis in post-financial sector cleanup. Speaking at an economic forum, Mr. Comfort explained further the impact the cleanup exercise could have on the country's financial market. There's more in this report.
The economist and business strategist made the prediction at the forum in Accra. He describes the situation as a systemic financial crisis in the wake of the sector's reforms. Dr. Jerry Monfort-Comfort says the central bank's approach to cleaning up the sector was aggressive and out of touch with modern-day financial regulatory reforms. Speaking to Joy Business, the economist argues the central bank could have resorted to a different intervention.
I feel that the approach shouldn't have been done that way. If you were there throughout the sessions, you saw how Iceland used its proper positions and transforming a deficit economy into a surplus economy. That was to be that at that point in time, they need stimulus. They need guarantees. They don't need revocations. If you use revocations at that very point in time, the hardship on the economy would be so hard and it would be so great and it would be so enormous.
Meanwhile, Chief Operations Officer at Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, has lamented the high standard of living in Ghana.
By the time we pay salaries, by the time we service the debt, there is no money left. The reason why you don't feel it is that we are not spending enough on development issues. We are not. So forget even the factor of corruption. As we stand as a country, we are not spending enough.
The Economic Forum by the Policy Initiative for Economic Empowerment also saw some industry leaders exchange thoughts on best ways of making Ghana an investment hub in the short to medium term.
Now, the IMF has revised downwards the country's end-of-year economic growth rate by more than 1%. This was contained in the World Economic Outlook released in Washington, D.C. in the U.S. My colleague George Afe is at the annual World Bank IMF meetings and filed this report.
In April this year, the IMF projected almost 9% economic growth rate for Ghana. Now, that was based on strong oil production as well as pickup in commodity export earnings. Fast forward to October this year, and in the IMF's World Economic Outlook report, they are projecting a 7.5% economic growth rate for Ghana. It is not clear for now what could be the reason for this revision. But for a country like Ghana, if it has to do with oil, then that could have an impact on our revenue earnings for the country. At a time when revenue is not doing well, the last thing we'll be looking forward to anything that would again hit this area. Well, it could be that those global economies or those big economies that are demanding these commodities are actually slowing because of challenges in their economy. For the development, some would say, call for some tough measures by government in terms of exploring other areas to grow our earnings as a country, meaning that going forward, some tough measures have to be taken. Either we cut down on our expenditure or find some innovative ways to grow the economy. For some also who will be watching closely these numbers, could it also impact on foreign direct investment going forward in terms of what we have to do as a country to ensure that we attract the required capital? Most investors will want to look at these numbers in terms of where they can direct their investment or capital. A bigger economy, a growing economy could mean that earnings on their capital could be good. Well, as the IMF would say, the situation called for some tough measures by respective governments in certain countries to ensure that the slowdown in economic growth around the world doesn't affect us as badly. And for Ghana, maybe the time has come for us to diversify our earnings from these commodities and look at more areas that could help get more for the economy. From the IMF headquarters in Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., this is George Afe reporting with Joy Business.
The inflation rate for the month of September has dropped from the previous figure of 7.6%. The current rate is influenced by some marginal reduction in prices of non-food items during the period between September 2018 and 2019. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnainim, announcing the figure in Accra, said the rate between food and non-food inflation is significant.
Food and non-alcoholic beverages group recorded a year-on-year inflation rate of 8.5%. The rate is influenced by some marginal reduction in prices of non-food items during the period. The Consumer Price Index (CPI) measures the change over time in the general price level of goods and services that households acquire for the purpose of consumption, with reference to the price level in 2018, which is the base year. The latest rate is the second figure since the economy was rebased. Professor Samuel Kopena Ainem is the government statistician.
Year-on-year September 2019 inflation was 7.6%, and this is interpreted as an increase in the average prices of goods and services that we identified from the Ghana Living Survey have gone up by 7.6% using September 2018 and September 2019. The monthly change rate for August 2019 and September 2019 was negative 0.1%.
At the regional level, the year-on-year inflation rate ranged from 3.8% for the Eastern region to 11.8% for the Greater Accra region.
Again, within Greater Accra, education services, that is, changes in prices for education services, has increased by 22.0%. Again, emphasis on the differences that we are observing at the levels of disaggregation. So while at the national level, we observe that it is alcoholic beverages that is driving the 7.6 increase that was mentioned earlier on, within Greater Accra, which has the highest rate of inflation, is the prices of education services, prices of restaurants and accommodation services, prices of food and non-alcoholic beverages, and prices of personal care, social protection that are driving the 11.8 inflation that we see in Greater Accra.
The rate recorded for the month is the lowest since the beginning of the year.
We're taking you to the courts now. The Bank of Ghana and the Attorney General have filed a motion asking the High Court to strike out a case brought by Dr. Papa Kwesi Indom challenging its decision to revoke the license of GN Savings and Loans. Lawyers for the Central Bank today applied for the court to rather refer the case for arbitration and make a declaration that the jurisdiction of the court is wrongly invoked. There is more in this report.
According to the lawyers, the court's jurisdiction has been wrongly invoked because a case involving insolvency of a financial institution and license revocation must be taken to arbitration before proceeding to the High Court if a party feels aggrieved. So far, the third respondent in the substantive case, Eric Nananipa, who is the receiver to the defunct financial institutions, is yet to file a motion. At a short hearing, Justice Gipti Ajay Ado adjourned the case to the 24th of October for the applicant to move the motion. Lawyers of the Central Bank applied for the court to rather refer the case for arbitration and make a declaration that the jurisdiction of the court is wrongly invoked.
Turning to aviation now, and Kotoka International Airport has been adjudged the second best safest airport in Africa for the over 20,000 air traffic movements. This was at the ongoing Airport Council International Africa General Assembly and Exhibition. The conference, which is the biggest gathering of airport leaders and stakeholders, is being held under the theme Smart Airports of the Future, Are We Ready? Sheila Tamaklo spoke with Managing Director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, Yakwakwa, and filed this report.
The Airports Council International Africa Dinner and Awards Gala Night saw several individuals awarded for their respective contributions to developments in the aviation sector. Various airports were also awarded for improving their safety standards and services. Kotoka International Airport took second place for airport safety with over 20,000 air traffic management. Yao Kwakwa is the managing director for the Ghana Airports Company Limited.
As you heard, we got the second place for airports with over 20,000 aircraft movements, and that's the highest. That's the highest band of the award. So we cannot go back. So we are going to sit down and make sure that whatever we are doing, well, we are going to continue doing even better. To make sure that we will go out. Mind you, the vision and the mission of the company is to occupy the center of aviation business in West Africa. The only way to do that is to make sure that our services are safe. As you correctly saw, even though it said the best airport in Africa, if you look closely, it says in safety. Without safety, without security, you don't have aviation industry.
The managing director also added that maintenance of the airports, both international and regional, will all remain a priority.
Everything that we are doing to Kotoka, we are going to scale it to the other airports. I mean, what sense would it make if you do well in one airport and don't do well at the other airport? For example, the de-rubberization regime that we have at Kotoka Airport is driven by a certain measure in the sector. And that sector and that measure is driven by the fact that we don't want a certain amount of rubber on the runway. We use the same measure to define standards to de-rubberize our various airports.
South Africa's Kinshasa Airport took first spot for the airport safety over 20,000 air traffic management, and East London Airport took top spot for air safety between 10,000 and 20,000 air traffic management. For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
Well, congratulations to the Ghana Airports Company Limited. Let's move on now. Women are being challenged to move beyond paying lip service to make their voices heard and take practical actions to effect the necessary changes in various communities. That's coming from the women of the Executive Women Network, a non-profit organization of women in business and executive positions ahead of their annual conference slated for October 18. Dedo Kofi is a member of the organizing committee.
This is where women are going to share their real life experiences of how they've risen through experiences that actually burnt them out. But as we know, if you know the phoenix, that is the bird phoenix, it is known to never die. Even when it dies and it becomes ashes, it rises again. And that's the strength that we have. No matter the situations we go through, we can always rise again. And sometimes you are not able to see it on the face of things because people wear their makeup, they're all smiley, they show up and they're doing what they're doing. But behind it is a lot of things going on. And we want to show it so that people know that it's real. And so when it's happening to you, you don't think it's abnormal. It's the normal thing. But the difference is that some people show up regardless of what they're going through and they get through it. So we will learn from these experiences, which is going to be absolutely amazing. And no one should miss it.
In other news, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has inaugurated an 8-member governing board to administer a scholarship fund to support research and human capital development at the University of Mines and Technology. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the $442,000 fund in Accra, Chief Executive of the Chamber, Suleiman Okoni, indicated that the investment has become necessary to make Ghana's production and human capital more competitive on the global stage.
Pulling our resources together as an industry to support tertiary education, starting with the University of Mines and Technology. And as we say, it is for obvious reasons. It's a University of Mines which bears our name. It's relatively a baby university, and therefore it needs all the support. We know we can't provide all the support, but we can complement what government is providing to the university. We benefit, our member companies benefit from the products of the University of Mines and Technology. The Chamber as a group, we work collaboratively with the University of Mines and Technology. They provide research for us, they conduct studies for us, and so on and so forth. And we realize that by bunching and coming together in a more collaborative manner, in a more mainstream manner, we will be able to, better provide the logistics, the resources that they need. And that's the reason why we decided to really launch this fund.
How much are we looking at as investment into this fund?
We're looking at an annual amount of $442,000 per year over 5 years going to the University of Mines and Technology to support research, training of students, and also, again, looking at internship opportunities for the brightest and the best coming from the University of Mines and Technology so that they can serve our mining industry well. Our mining industry, as I have said, is a price taker. And one of the sustainable competitive advantages would have to come through the competencies of the staff, and your employees as well. And therefore, it's important that we train them to the highest level so that they can ensure that our mining industry stays at the cutting edge of developments within the global mining global mining space, so that we can continue to be.
How is the mining industry faring in Ghana and across the world?
I think it's faring okay, but we have serious competition, and the reason why we need to make sure that we are the cutting edge, train more people, give them all the technologies and innovative ideas so that they can come out and help the mining industry to be repositioned to be the number one, not just in terms of production, but in terms of productivity.
Now, the Institute of Industrial Research of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research wants policies to empower local communities to manage their waste. Director Dr. Francis Boateng says public sensitization and education on economic use of waste should be at the heart of such a policy. He told the CSIR Senior Staff Biennial Conference communities can turn their economic fortunes around instead of government spending money to manage waste.
Tamuchia says governments planting for food and jobs and planting for export and rural development will be given the needed attention.
We intend to generate a lot of planting materials in the area of mango, rubber, and cashew, so that we can get enough so that we give to our farmers who will be able to plant, thereby generating a lot of income for the nation.
He says he will collaborate with the private sector to strengthen funding base of the institute.
Our donors are fatigued, that is foreign donors, and we know that in Ghana we have individuals who are doing so well, and we can approach them to fund our research. So we'll take time, go to them. Already we have identified other companies.
Dr. Brantford Muchia attended Sunyani Senior High School before pursuing bachelor's degree in zoology and botany and MPhil in entomology at the University of Cape Coast. He obtained PhD in agriculture and entomology from both University of Cape Coast and the International Center
Our
for
donors
Zoology and Ecology in Nairobi,
that
Kenya.
Is foreign donors, and we know that in Ghana.
Apologies for that. Now, the increase in usage of smartphones, high-speed internet, and the digitization of the economy means Ghana needs a talent base with skills to support this infrastructure. Entrepreneur Richard Brandt is leading the way, training young people to become world-class software developers to meet the needs of a digital economy. Today on the Joy Business Van, we visit CodeTrain, the coding school he set up to train young people. Coding is what makes it possible for us to create computer software, apps and websites. It's become a very important skill to acquire as Ghana aims to create a digital economy.
Do you think about me?
There is something called an MVP. Who has an idea of what an MVP is?
We've come to the Okwa Digital Center, where one of the few coding schools in Ghana is located.
Welcome to CodeTrain.
Hi, Richard. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I can see school is in session.
Yes, we have students reviewing their projects with their teachers today.
CodeTrain was started 2 years ago by software developer Richard Brandt.
So the idea of CodeTrain started when I was working as a consultant, as a software developer, and it got to a point I needed interns in the company. So I selected a group of students from the universities, and I realized that most of them didn't have the skills, required for them to actually contribute. And but they were good enough, they were smart, they had the theoretical skills, but then you couldn't really use them.
Richard decided to train his interns to become skilled software and app developers, and more young people began to approach him for similar training. It was then he thought he could start a school to extend the opportunity to others. Richard quit his job and started CodeTrain from his home with 16 students. It was a challenging start, he recalls, convincing parents to enroll their children in an institution that was new and teaching something that was not, well, kind of the normal.
With time, we started showing results. Some of our students started, getting jobs a few months after joining our program, even though maybe they might have finished university for a while and they didn't get, jobs, or they couldn't start careers. So it was at that point that things started turning around by showing results and showing that this really works. Does she need to use even just WhatsApp to market their products? We teach our students mainly mobile and web application development. This is because there is a high demand for mobile and web developers right now globally, and even in Africa and Ghana, because of the boom in tech. Now everything is, either is an app or it's a website. So we train our students in those technologies. And our main focus is actually to get them to get to a standard where they can be handpicked by companies and place them in their companies for them to, just start and, get up and running. Our students actually have worked on a lot of apps and solutions to address a lot of problems in society. One of them is an app which is a marketplace for teachers and students. So it allows teachers to find students to offer them private teaching.
That's just one of the many apps developed by his students for effective running of organizations and tackling of some of society's challenges. Richard's vision is that his students can work anywhere in the world, and as he shows me, he's trained quite a number, some of whom are working in international organizations.
We've been able to match about 81% of the students in our Magic program into jobs. Some of them have worked for international companies, some of them have worked for local companies, some of them have even started their own businesses. And we've, apart from our main program here where we have the school and that we train, we also go to the universities as well to mainly teach.
Over 400 students admitted so far, and having been adjudged ICT Entrepreneur of the Year 2019, Richard is definitely onto something.
One thing that really motivates me every day is the fact that a student joins our training program, and it's really fun looking at the students maybe in month one, is at this level, and then 6 months later, the same student is talking about building something to help a company, and he's building products, and he's talking very technical, and you can see their lives improve. It's something that is very, very motivating, even in spite of the fact that there are moments when you are down, but then it helps in motivating and keeping me going.
CodeTrain currently operates 2 branches, one in Accra and the other in Kumasi.
There are so many amazingly creative and talented young Ghanaians, like in even some of the villages and in other parts of the country. We are also getting a lot of traction in neighboring African countries like Nigeria, Liberia, Gambia, and even Senegal and Cameroon. And we are looking for ways to also expand because our main goal in the next few years will be to make CodeTrain the most reputable technical training school in West Africa.
At CodeTrain, dreams like this do matter.
Do you think about me?
And thanks for being good company on Business Live. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We will be back same time tomorrow. Do stay tuned to JoyNews.